Episodes 10 and 11 of The Bad Batch return to the darker tone that we were introduced to at the beginning of Season 3. As the scientist Dr. Karr on Mount Tantus is forced to face the morality of her experiments, while the Empire burns down Pabu Island in order to recapture Omega. Episode 8 begins in a marketplace on an unknown planet as a young child displays Force sensitivity. This is seen by the locals who whisper in hushed tones, as they know that even talking about the Force and the potential of someone being a Jedi is taboo under the Empire regime. However, a member of the Aqualish race witnesses the Force-sensitive child and later on decides to tip off a Tier 1 bounty hunter, who turns out to be none other than Cad Bane. Back at Mount Tantus, Dr. Karr convinces Dr. Hemlock to allow her to be the new chief scientist, as Nala Se was stripped of her role after helping Omega escape and has been kept in confinement ever since. Along with this new role, Karr is introduced to Project Necromancer and taken to the vault, where she learns that 3 Force-sensitive children are the specimens that they're taking blood from in order to replicate the M count. Karr is deeply concerned over the fact that they're currently experimenting on children, and as one of the children attempts to engage her in conversation, Hemlock has to remind her not to form emotional bonds, as these are not children, they are simply specimens of the Empire. Back on the unknown planet, Cad Bane and his droid Toto manage to successfully and very easily capture the young Force-sensitive child. While back on Mount Tantus, one of the young Force-sensitive children by the name of Jax happens to witness Dr. Hemlock exiting the vault and sees that he uses one of the datapads and plans to escape. And in fact, that's also how Omega and Crosshair escaped, by using Nala Se's datapad to hook up to the facility and make an exit for themselves. However, even though Jax is able to steal the datapad from Dr. Karr, an alert goes out as soon as they see him try to escape, and it overrides the datapad. Dr. Karr tries to handle the situation herself, but Commander Scorch and a number of commandos show up and have to stun Jax after he refuses to cooperate, leading Dr. Karr to confront Scorch, as she believes that they use excessive methods against the child in order to return him to confinement. However, Scorch reminds her that he's simply following orders, and I've mentioned this before, but these clone commandos are truly ruthless and completely devoid of any of the humanity that the other clones have shown, even those who have followed Order 66, such as Commander Wolf. So I'm wondering if the clone commandos have gone through some stage of the brainwashing that the Shadow Troops have, but not so much that they lose their individuality and ability to conduct normal operations. Dr. Karr is becoming increasingly troubled with how the experiments are affecting these children and goes to confront Nala Se on how she could enable this to happen and how she could approve the use of children in order to progress in Project Necromancer. However, Nala Se tells her that she didn't really have a choice, that she really hasn't had a choice in any of this from the beginning, that she was kidnapped by the Empire just like Omega was, and that she's done everything she could in order to save Omega. But she also reassures Karr that these specimens are important, therefore the Empire will make sure that they are safe and healthy in order to continue to provide the necessary genetic material so that they can continue with their experiments. And there's actually some evidence of this, as in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Obi-Wan enters a facility where a number of Jedi, who granted I don't believe were alive, but they were kept in some form of stasis, likely to continue harvesting their genetic material, though I'm not sure if midichlorians still exist in your body once you're dead. Nala Se also causes Dr. Karr to question herself on whether or not she's truly as powerless as she is, or whether she's simply following Hemlock's orders. Hemlock, by the way, is following orders of his own, as we know that he spoke to the Emperor in Episode 3 and has been fulfilling this project specifically for him, though he ends up having to face the threats of Admiral Tarkin, who does not appreciate the fact that Hemlock is constantly diverging funds from the Empire in order to fuel this project, of which he isn't even able to know anything about, as Hemlock tells him that it's classified. However, Tarkin tells Hemlock that if there aren't real results soon, that there will be consequences. Though I'm not sure if Tarkin would be able to override the Emperor, or if he's actually speaking on behalf of the Emperor at this point. With increased pressure on the project, Hemlock calls in the same Shadow Trooper who was thought to have died a few episodes ago in order to once again capture Omega, telling him to not even come back until he has Omega alive. We also briefly see some blueprints or plans for what looks like Dark Troopers. Now, Dark Troopers were, I believe, originally clones who were basically manipulated with midichlorians or something like that, And I know we saw a version of Dark Troopers in The Mandalorian. However, they were far more droid than human. And so I'm wondering if this is the beginning of that project and if it's actually an extension of the Shadow Troopers or if it's something entirely different. But Dr. Karr, wanting to protect the children, decides to go with Scorch to meet Cad Bane as he brings them the new child, and is surprised to learn how young the child is. When she asks Cad Bane how many children he's captured, Cad Bane says, "Let's put it this way, I'm really good at my job." And this actually calls back to the early seasons of the Clone Wars, where Cad Bane was hired by Darth Sidious to capture Force-sensitive children after Darth Sidious had acquired a Jedi holocron, giving the locations of those children across the galaxy. The episode ends as Karr continues to struggle with the morality of her actions and decides to give one of the children the doll that Omega had made when she was confined. Now, I think it's been fairly obvious from the beginning that Dr. Karr is likely going to turn on the Empire and go against Hemlock in order to not only help Omega, but these children and possibly Nala Se as well. Keep in mind that Dr. Karr is also one of the Django clones, and there are many more of the female clones at the facility, although the others don't seem to have anywhere near the same individuality that Dr. Karr has. But let me know what you guys think about episode 10 in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell so that you never miss out on a new video. Thanks for watching.